Hello, it's Barb, and I'm not going to be on camera today for several reasons. One, I'm not dressed appropriately to be on camera. And also, I am not, I'm not, I know, Rhonda, hello. This is not a normal time for me to stream. So there you go. I'm streaming because I need to do something, and I thought I might as well do it. Hello, Linda. Yes, we were going away. We were going to my granddaughter's house. Coffee at the ready here. Yes, we were going to her house, and I was having some tummy issues, and they were not getting well, or getting not well. They weren't resolving quick enough for me to do that, to get in the car and ride for 8 hours. It was not something I could trust, if you catch my drift. Hello, Connie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream and make a birthday card, because today is Elton's birthday, and he's off being busy because it's an unexpected, a lovely surprise for him to get a day that he got to do things that he didn't expect to get to do. So anyway, I am better. I'm still a little, we'll say queasy, probably the best word. I have no idea if I ate something. It started Sunday. Don't know if I ate something. Didn't know if I was going to stream Monday night. I made it through that. But I'm just putting some stuff on my hand here. But anyway, the closer we got to the day to leave, the more I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. So we didn't. We canceled it, put it off probably till in May, I'm guessing. She really likes for us to be together on Mother's Day. And so that may be what we do. But anyway, all that being said, I thought I would show you kind of where I was on this little project. We will look at this more later when I come back, because I will be here Monday night, as far as I know, if everything holds. If everything holds, what is the word? Holds station? Holds steady. I should be here Monday night also. So, anyway, there you go. That's why I'm here. And I'm better in the morning. And because he's busy off doing his thing, I thought, no, I'll just do this, and I just won't put me on the camera as far as my face and stuff, because I am not appropriately ready to be. I am not camera ready. Let's just say that. I'm not camera ready. So, and I also, part of it was I didn't want to take anything to them. Little children, her kids are 4.5 and 1.5. Little kids are particularly prone to pick up crud from somebody else, or share their crud with you. So it was kind of one of those things. Hello, Terry. So it's one of those things of, sometimes you just have to be, you just gotta throw up the white flag and go, can't happen. Okay? Yeah. No, it's not a good gift to bring at all. Not at all. So anyway, thanks you guys for being here. I didn't really expect anybody to show up because it's a weird time. But, it is what it is. Anyway, so we've been, just to quickly show you this is the meandering book that I put together for you guys. Okay, I'm not going to zoom out too far because there's too much stuff on my desk. But this is the little book that we were doing, and I did some little painty flower or painty shapes. I just took painted fabric or created fabric that I had, bonded it together with fusible web so it's double-sided, except for this one, which was, I don't know that I did this one. Oh, maybe I did. I think maybe I did. Yeah, it's 2 pieces. Anyway, they're all bonded together with fusible web. And then I just cut out circles, so you can see those sort of circles, essence of circle shapes. And then what I wanted to show you was what I had done, because I was sort of deciding what I wanted to do about these. And so these are all of the little circles that I had cut out, and some of them I had stitched together with you guys. And I took the stitches out because I thought, nah, I'm not super excited about what the direction I was headed with those. And so I thought what I would do instead, just to give you an idea of where I was going, is I just stacked them. Some of them I stacked in directions like this, so they're stacked to make a longer thing or a wider thing. There's another one, and here's another one. So those are all multiples of 3s on those, and then some of these are 3s and some of these are 2s, and I just stacked them all up and I tacked them together with a little bit of glue, just a tiny little bit of glue to hold them together. Before I did any of that, I edged them with some fabric paint, which we'll talk about on Monday. And then rather than putting buttons on them, I decided to add little stitch things. And so that seems to be working okay. So that's what I did. So I thought I'll just show you the progress on that. It's something I could do while I was just sitting and feeling sorry for myself. You know how it is when you feel sorry for yourself. Hello, Peg. And so I was just sitting there feeling sorry for myself. And but I think that these kinds of things will work for what I want to do. So we'll see. Anyway, I decided what I was going to do is just use up all the little circles that I cut, stick them together into various configurations, and do something, embellish them a little bit, and then we'll see what happens after that, because I am making it up as I go along. Okay. Hello, Mary. Is that the Mary Atier, or is that a different Mary? That is not a name I recognize. This is my Credi Mat. Sorry, but that's what I got to use today. And what I have to work on is a piece of white cardstock. Okay, it's just white cardstock. I folded it in half, and I cut it to be 7 inches tall, 5 inches wide. Sorry, the cats have been getting to me. It is the Mary Atier. Good to see you, Miss Mary. I'm turning my sleeves up. I have on one of Elton's shirts because it's one that was destined for the trash. He's worn it out, and but it's not so worn out that I can't use it for what I do. So I recycle his shirts for my purposes. Anyway, so this is 5 by 7, which I probably will still cut down a little bit and fold it in half. The camera's going to hate that until something gets on it. So for the moment, we're going to put this on it, so maybe it will. Go ahead and focus on that. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to make a birthday card because today is Elton's birthday. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of these deli papers that some of them were painted on purpose. Most of them were not. most of them were not painted on purpose. Most of them were scrap things from jelly plate sessions, and some of them I think people sent to me. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of those. I will not use half of these. I won't use a quarter of these. Hello, Angela. But anyway, that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to make a background on the card using these deli papers and whatever is in this. I'm going to try to use the ones that are just my things that I have done, as opposed to something like this one is going to go back in the box. This is a piece of Tim Holtz tissue paper, which is very nice, but I'm not going to use that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use matte medium, and if I was smart, I'd go get a dish and pour it in the dish. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should be smart. Okay, so this is just Liquitex matte medium, and if you detect that my energy is not 100%, you would be correct, but I don't feel terrible by any means. I'm just not 100%. All right, so I have some water on my, I also have some water here, and which is dangerous when you're working around computerized equipment. However, I'm going to live on the wild side because there's not much way to do this without water around. Hopefully he's not watching, but he could be. Hopefully he's not. He's supposed to be in a board meeting. He works, he's on the board of a children's home, which we have talked about lots of times, called Show Me Christian Youth Home, and he is a board member, has been for a long time. And so he is there. They've built a building, a school building, and he is getting to see the building, and also the board members are feeding the staff and the kids today, I understand. So he's off doing that today, so he's going to be busy most of the day, I think. So what we're going to do is we are going to try to build a birthday card. And if it doesn't turn out, I'll go buy one. But I'd like to do it here instead. All right, so I'm just tearing up some scraps. He does seem to like the cards that I make, and so that is one of the reasons that I'm doing this, because he likes it. And if people like what you do, you tend to do more of it, right? And here's some good grungy circle things. Okay, so let's just get started, because this is not a great big piece of paper, so we'll just get started. So I wet my brush first and then took the excess water off. And then I'm just going to cover this randomly. Cover this piece of cardstock, which until it's got some stuff on it, the camera's not going to like it, so we're going to put a piece of something on it very quickly. So it will get a little happier. That will keep the camera a little happier. Actually, I'm going to turn it around the other way. Just because. Don't ask me. Don't ask. I don't know. Okay. And so it's just going to go like that. And then we're going to make a card out of it. I hope. So I hope you all are doing well. The weather today here is unbelievably beautiful. It's sunshiny. All the 3 of the outdoor cats want to be in the house today, and I'm like, nope. You are going outside. They've been in, and I'm like, nope, you're going outside. So they were not very happy about it, but they're all out there laying in the sunshine and pouting. All 3 of the 4th cat, which is the one I've been trying to tame, and he's making progress. He's making real progress. I now can pick him up most of the time, and I can bring him into the house. He is very nervous when he's in the house, extremely nervous about being inside, but he will come in, and he purrs. It's the funniest thing to watch him because it's a combination of purring and freaking out. So he does both. He purrs and then he freaks out, and he wants to run and hide. And so he's a work in progress. Sweet cat, work in progress. Hello, Linda. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a figment of your imagination today. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be in Alabama at my granddaughter's house, enjoying 2 little great-grandchildren, but my body had other things to say about that. And sometimes, you get to a certain age, and the body wins. There's not much I can say about that, other than sometimes the body calls the shots, doesn't it? Okay, so we're going to put that up there, and I won't bore you with details. Nothing serious by any means. It's kind of that. I'd rather have to deal with this now than to deal with it in a few weeks, because we are going on a trip, and so it's better that I deal with it now and hopefully get the February gook out of my system. All right, let's put this up here. I'm kind of overlapping the edges on purpose so that, although it's against my better nature to let stuff hang off the edges, it's good that good to have things hang off the edge, because then you can even them up with scissors or trimmer. Okay, so these are all deli papers, which is the stuff, in case you're not familiar with it, it's the stuff that you get a sandwich wrapped in. And I really like deli paper, deli wrap. I really like it for various kinds of art projects. I like it because it's thin. I like it because it's translucent. And I love it because it takes most mediums quite well. Paint, it works well on the jelly plate. It works well for making paste papers. It's not as good for paste papers, but it still works okay. But I love the translucency of it, so when you layer things like this, like I'm doing right here, you can see what's going on underneath it. And you get effects with this that I can't ever get by painting them, you know. So, because it is a birthday card, I'm trying to keep the inside of it a little bit neat. That doesn't mean it's gonna be super neat, but a little bit neat will be good. Okay, now this one, which has an opaque layer of paint on it, is not going to be translucent because it has opaque paint over it. So, but it still maintains the thin aspect, the thin quality of the deli paper, which I love, as I've said. So, yes, I started to say that it is beautiful outside here. Next week, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, the high temperature here is supposed to be 69 degrees. Considering we were in the negative numbers not long ago, that's crazy. It's just, you know, it's just that time of year when things are a little cuckoo. Alright, so I'm just going to keep adding and trying not to think too hard about what I'm doing. I find that the less I think about this, the better they turn out. So I don't know if I told you this or not, but we caught another cat in the trap. So we're having problems with possums and raccoons. So we have a live trap to trap them. And to date, we have caught 5 possums, 4 raccoons, 2 cats. And the cats were not our cats. They were some other person's cats. Don't know who. Have no clue. Anyway, the cats were none of the things that get caught in the live trap are amused about it, but the cats were particularly irritated. Anyway, the funny part about it is that Elton will say, he'll say, "Come here, we got another cat." And I'm like, "Oh man." But he'll say, I think it's Blue, who is our black and white cat. And I go out there and he said, "Come look." And I go look. And it's not only not a black and white cat, it is a black cat. It is a solid black cat. And I'm like, really? Surely you can tell the difference between a black and white cat and a solid black cat. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about him. I'm not sure if he's colorblind or what. But most colorblind people know the difference between solid black and black and white. Usually it's a color that they have issues with, not things like black and white. Anyway, all right, let's use some of this weird. No, I don't want to use that one. How about some of this? I like this. Deli paper will tear one direction easily and doesn't tear well the other direction very easily, although now it's making a liar out of me. So I'm just going to pull some pieces here. So I hope you have something to do, because I'm just going to prattle on as I cover this piece of cardstock which will become a background for a birthday card. I hope. I hope so. So if you have any questions about what I'm doing, put them in big, giant capital letters. I will be looking up periodically to see if there are questions. I will last here as long as I can last. I am much better than I was, but I'm not quite 100%. So we're gonna, if I say to you, well, that's it for now, and I'm not done with what I intended to do, you'll know that my body called the shots. Okay? Hopefully everybody will hang in there with me and give me some grace today, because that's, as my son used to say when he was little, and that's the how of it. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, this is one I like. Oh, and there's a hand. We will have to put the hand on there, of course. Terry's Cleaner Art Room. Good for you, girl. Good for you. So I'm just cutting off or pulling off things like, see that edge on there? I'm getting rid of those kinds of things. So, and like I said, one of the things that I like so much about deli wrap or tissue paper, I do like this better than tissue paper, because tissue paper tends, unless you have the wet strength tissue, which I don't have any of that, the wet strength tissue will let you do all kinds of stuff with it, because the name, it's in the name, wet strength. But regular tissue paper does not like to be manhandled. Deli paper, because it's made for people, you know, eating sandwiches, and it's doing its grown-up purpose, will handle stuff like that. Picking it up, moving it, kind of manhandling it a little bit. So I really like the deli wrap. I need to get some wet strength tissue. I just haven't ever done it. You know, when you clean out your house and you move spaces, man, it is a real challenge to me to buy much, because it's like, I just got rid of all this stuff. Do I honestly, it makes me really question before I buy something now, do I honestly need that? Do I really and truly want to invest in that thing that I might have to get rid of sometime? You know what I mean? So I have not invested in wet strength tissue, although I think I would really enjoy it. Okay, so let's see what else. Just tearing off the, go a little deeper than that, tearing off the kind of straight edge. Bearing in mind that most of this is probably going to get covered up. Not totally, but need the background. I do need the background, because whatever doesn't get covered up needs to look pretty, or maybe pretty's not the word, but it needs to have something in the background. Okay, so there's the hand, and let's see. Hello, Ellen. Good to see you. Now this is a piece of paste paper that's done on this kind of pattern deli wrap, which I really like. But that's really bright, and so when in doubt, turn it over and see what's on the other side. This has way too much paint on it. So I'm not going to use that side, I don't think. Let me look. I don't know. Actually, I like that side. Never mind. Changed my mind. See, I can tell you things and then turn around and do just what I told you I wasn't going to do. I'll do it on this side over here. So this is the one side. This is the other side, the other right side. So we're going to put this over here. So don't forget to check. It's just like fabric. One of my friends who writes quilt books and stuff, she teaches classes too, and she'll always say, you can use the other side of the fabric. You paid for both. And I'm like, that is such a good thing to say. Because we do tend to forget that you bought both sides of the paper, you bought both sides of the fabric, so use both sides if you want to. Okay, so that is the back side of that. That piece actually turned out much better than I expected it to. Much better than I expected it to. Shockingly so. All right, let's add a little piece there. And some of these, like there's little tiny bits of the white cardstock showing here. Those will probably get cut off when I cut down the paper, because I'm going to cut it down probably a little bit. Okay, I'm going to tear off the straight edges on this one. So this is where I've cleaned off the brayer, which you can see here because of the straight marks. That's the brayer where I cleaned it off when I was printing. And those are often some of my very favorite scrap papers, the ones where I brayer things off, or great for backgrounds. I just love them for backgrounds. Okay. This doesn't need to be layered up very heavily, but clearly it's got a chunk of something underneath it, so I'm going to pull that off and see if yeah, that'll smooth it down. I don't care if it has some texture to it, because whatever I'm going to do to it in a minute, the texture is going to be just fine. It's not going to affect what I'm doing. You don't have to start with white when you do something like this. You could start with some other color in your background, but you do have to be aware of the fact that your background is going to affect the colors of the deli paper. So, for example, if we did this in black, started with black or a dark color background, it would definitely have a much different feel to this, because the black would tone down everything significantly. It is hard to make cards for the male of the species. The nice thing about Elton is that he just seems to appreciate and like what I do, and that's really nice. And I've made him cards that were machine stitched. I've made him cards that are mixed media cards, and then this kind of thing, and he's always very kind about it, which, don't get me wrong, he should be, because otherwise I'm not going to put the time into making them. You know what I mean? You get to a point where you go, yeah, not appreciated. I mean, about the second or third time, I'm a slow learner sometimes. Second or third time that I make a card for somebody, and they really don't, mostly it's they don't get what I do, and so then I go, that's okay. A store-bought card is probably the best thing for this person, because some people really don't care. And I don't put a ton of time into making cards, because if you do, you're gonna most of them are gonna go in the trash eventually anyway. I mean, that's the reality of it. So if they're going to go in the trash anyway, then I just kind of let it go. There are a few people in my life that really seem to appreciate them. Elton is one of them, which I am grateful for that, because I enjoy making them, and I need to, yeah, it's all right. I enjoy making them, and it's nice if somebody likes them. You can't control what people do with what you give them. That's one of the hard lessons of life, is that what you give to someone else, it's theirs. At that point, it is theirs. They get to make the choice about what they want to do with it. You don't have any control over it. You don't have any control over whether they like it, whether they keep it, or if it's something that has some value, sometimes they can turn around and sell it. And I have had that happen in the past, a long time ago. But I bought something that I financed, another stupid thing to do, but I financed it and gave to someone because I thought she would really like it and value it and yada, yada, yada. And she turned around and sold it before I even had it paid for. That was one of those pills that was a little hard to swallow. It was a really good lesson, though, Sometimes you got to have those lessons show up, so you learn to hold on to things loosely. And when you give something to somebody, it is theirs. Okay, so we got that. Let's see if there are any other naked spots here. This one, even though this piece right here and here, that is deli wrap, deli paper, but again, it has opaque paint on it, so you don't have that translucent quality. This must have been something that somebody sent me, because it has washi tape on it, which is pretty cool. I didn't even know that was in there. So let's put a little bit of this, because it is very translucent. We'll put a little bit of this just because. Okay, and maybe one more piece of this wild print. Animal print for a wild man. Animal prints are always good for things for men. Let's see, by having that translucent background, it just shows, it looks like you've stenciled on top of this blue piece, and not so, because that's a whole piece of paper. All right, I think I got stuff hanging off the edges pretty much all the way around. This is a non-stick, it's a Tim Holtz non-stick mat. This that's mounted or taped onto a board with Gorilla Tape. Gorilla Tape does hold this non-stick mat. It will hold it onto a piece of masonite, because it's much easier for me to take this hard board and move it on and off my table rather than a flippy mat. So anyway, it has been used really hard. Okay, so I am going to move all of this back into my box of deli papers. So, and then see if it's on a hard board like this, then I can move this around. There's the Gorilla Tape. That is some sticky stuff, let me tell you. So I'm just moving that off so I can throw all these little scraps back in my box of translucent deli wraps. I used to have these really organized. They are not now. But at least this is all one kind of paper in this box. And it's labeled. That is the key for me, for organization, is to label things so that I don't have to open the box every time I want to see for sure what's in it. But it also means that you got to put stuff back, you know. That is sketch paper. Oh well. It's close enough. It's a thin paper. Alright, I think I got most of it back in here and off of my surface, my work surface. Alright, so here we are back with what we're doing. Oh, the other thing I got to do is I'm going to attempt, and that is the word, attempt, to put what's left of this back in my bottle. We'll see. We'll see how well I do at hitting the... If it's a wide mouth bottle, this is much easier to do. This is a very skinny little bottle opening. Okay, all in all, pretty successful. Now, I'm going to wipe off the mouth of this bottle. And then use some Vaseline that I'm going to put on the lip and the threads, because that allows me to open this bottle again in the future. So if you, and some people don't do that, some people don't put anything on the threads of their jars, or sometimes they'll put plastic, like plastic wrap or plastic bags. You know, people have their ways of doing things. I like Vaseline, so that's what I use. We all have our things. Alright, I am going to move the water off of my desk, which is what is here, containing the brush. If you let matte medium dry in your brush, it's a really hard thing to get out of your brush. So I soak it in water, and then I've got a better shot at getting it out. I'm going to go put water in this, and I'll be right back. Okay? Okay, if you have lots, excuse me, lots of containers, like little plastic containers, little plastic dishes or whatever kind of containers, to-go containers or whatever, if you have plenty of those, then you would not have to wash them. I tend to recycle the same ones over and over just because, I don't know. Yeah, it's like anything else. You develop your favorite stuff. Okay, I'm going to dry this with a heat tool for a minute. Okay, I'm going to dry from both sides of this because the matte medium has penetrated. Even though it's not been applied to this side, you can see how it's curling. So it has gone through, even though it isn't totally on the other side, like purposefully put on the other side. It has soaked through. So it will help if you dry both sides of it. And also my surface under here, this is a quilt self-healing mat. This is an Olfa rotary mat. If you dry right, because I've ruined these before, if you put a heat gun down on this surface of this, you're going to bubble it and ruin it. So This mat, on the other hand, which also has that board underneath it, this will take the heat. So there you go. Word to the wise. All right, one of the other things I'm going to do is get a brayer, if I can reach one. And I'm just going to use this brayer to put some pressure on this, just to kind of help make sure that everything is really bonded, flattened down to that surface of the cardstock. Okay, and then heat it again. Okay, this is not what is referred to as crispy dry. It's just, it's still a little bit damp, but it's pretty dry. Dry enough. Dry enough for what I want to do. Okay, for the visual, for purposes of being able to really see what I'm doing, because I will probably trim this down just a little bit more later, so it will fit in a 5x7 envelope. It needs to be a little bit smaller, and I think I have 5x7 envelopes here somewhere. You know, I'm now being surprised by what I saved and what I got rid of when I moved, and that's why I always have to say I think I have, because in my mind I still know where everything is in my old studio. And here I have to look for everything still. So even though I carefully organized and I was able to keep up with it for quite a while with moving, I would move things over and put them away. Then there came the day where you got to get all the rest of it out, and at that point all hope is lost and everything just gets stuck somewhere. Anyway, there you go. So that's why I say I think I have the envelopes, but I'm not 100%. All right, so here is the card. I did crease it ahead of time because I wanted to make sure that I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be easy to crease it when I looked at it. Okay, so here is the card. This can be the front, which probably will be because of the hand. It could also go this way, which I don't mind that, but I think I'm going to go this way. Okay, so here's that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use, we're going to try this Amsterdam, and believe me, this is scrap paper and a piece of cardstock. If this doesn't work out exactly the way I have planned in my head, then I'll make another one. But we're going to go for it and see if we can make it work. Okay? Because sometimes things in your head don't always come out. exactly the way you thought they were going to come out. So here is our card, and I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put some paper towel inside it, just because it might help keep the inside a little cleaner, but who knows. All right, so there's the card. I'm going to use the Amsterdam. This is acrylic ink. And I'm just going to shake it up, which you're probably not supposed to do, and I don't really care. Pardon me. And the other thing I have is a roll of toilet paper. So I'm going to pull off, this is a decent toilet paper. It's not the kind that you use when you go in Walmart or a lot of those stores that you go in and you know, it's not that commercial stuff. This is regular toilet paper. I know. And then I have a couple of pipettes, and hopefully they work. We're going to find out. Okay. And I'm going to get another little thing of paper towel. And put the lid to my ink over here, because that sometimes the droppers and the inks work really well, but this is well, first of all, it's got a glob of dried ink or something, but you see that little tip has the ball on it. I find that difficult to work with. I like something that has a finer tip on it. So I'm going to just suck up some ink. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to suck up the ink in the bottle. And then I'm going to draw with it. So let's see what we get here. And okay. And then I'm going to take one piece of toilet paper, and get the excess ink. And as much as you want to be tempted to use this again, the only way you can use this again is if there is absolutely no ink on it, okay? And then resist the temptation to save that and just throw it away. And it gets to a point where no more ink will come off of it, and so that's okay. Then we're going to go for the next section. So a fresh little dropper of ink that I am pulling off against the side, so hopefully I don't drip some other something I don't want. Okay, so we have the next layer. Yes, resist yourself. Don't do it. Don't let yourself do it. Okay, I'm going to use one layer. And I'm going to let that. It does two things. It spreads the ink and it soaks up the extra. Pull it off, throw it away, and just to make sure, I'm just going to kind of gently tap again. Okay, good enough. And then we're going to go for a third layer because this is a fancy cake. This is a fancy one. This is a very fancy cake, by the way. It's one of those that they would make on the Great British Bake Off. Okay. And then let's see. I think that we're just going to do some birthday candles. You got to be okay with whatever result you get out of this. Having trouble getting my pipette to work with me here. Okay, now this may all kind of smear together here in part of this, and if it does, it does. Okay. Okay. So we have some birthday candles. We have a cake. We need something for the cake to sit on. Okay. And I might put some a little decoration on the cake. This is where it could go horribly wrong, but you know, hey, it's only a piece of card. It's only a piece of cardstock. with some papers glued onto it. That's all it is. And you get what you get with this. So if you get a smudge or a smear, or where something does this, where it just makes a big glop, you get what you get. Okay? You got what you got. All right. So we have candles. We have a cake. And I think that's all I'm going to do on this side. I think I'm going to leave that alone. And let's give it some heat. Yep, you can make this for anybody. Absolutely. It uses up scraps. It's a piece of cardstock, you know, and then you can decorate this as much as you want, which I'll probably come back after it's totally dry with some paint pens and zhuzh it up a little bit more. And it's acrylic ink, so if it happens to get wet, you know, if he goes outside in the rain and it gets wet, I don't think it'll run. You just make it up as you go along, right? Okay, so we have that. I think it's pretty well dry. I wouldn't swear to how dry it is, but it's pretty dry, I think. And then on the other side, let's see what I was going to do. Oh, it's not in my photos. Okay. On the other side of the card, I thought we would do something else. Okay. So I am not going to lay this down on top of what I've already done. I'm going to just have to be aware of where my card bends right here, okay? So we'll see how this goes. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. I've done the birthday cake thing before. I haven't done this other thing before, so we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, it's on the back, so, you know, it is what it is. And no, it's not a dunce cap. It is not. Okay, that's as far as I dare push that. We'll see how this goes. You do have to kind of watch your fingers because your fingers can pick up the ink, see, through the toilet paper. And I've tried this with different kinds of things other than toilet paper. And toilet paper seems to be the best because it is, by its very nature, very absorbent. And because it is thin, you can see through it, so you can see where it's picking things up, right? Okay. And then just because we're going to let this come off the card as though it were a string. And once I detail the rest of the birthday hat, I think it will make sense. If not, I'll explain it to him. That's a possibility as well. He is the worst, absolutely the worst to watch a movie with. Because he will say things like, what's going on? What's happening? What is this? It's like, honest to Pete, if you just watch, I think it'll make sense. So who knows whether he'll get that birthday string. I mean, I could put 2 eyes and a nose on there just like that was a head that it was on, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to make him work for it. He's probably going to look at it and go, it's a Christmas tree? Hello, Dorothy. Like, is this a Christmas tree? Okay, so what I'm using is a baby wipe just to try to get some of the ink, the worst of the ink off my hands. Now the great thing about these little pipettes, this is a clean one, sort of clean one, is that if you can't get them cleaned out effectively, you can throw them away. They're not that expensive, so you can do that, okay? All right, we're gonna put the ink away because open bottles of ink on a surface are a recipe for a disaster planning to happen. I'm gonna go stick this in water and I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. Any questions about what I've done so far? If you have questions, pop them in the chat. Okay. So I think this is dry, pretty much. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to trim this down, trim the card down just a smidgen. We'll see how this works. We'll hope it works. We'll hope it works. So we're going to do the same thing to both sides, or both ends. And then if I need to even them up a little bit more with scissors, I will do that, or a rotary cutter. I'm just trying to do this so I can kind of see how it's shaping up here. Elton did say the most interesting thing this morning when he called. He was driving to his board meeting when he called me. And he said, you know, I don't feel like I'm more than 14 inside. And I thought, that's him. That is him to a T. He doesn't feel more than 14. And I said, well, you know, we're always the same age inside, right? All right, we're going to see how this goes. That's a long cut for this. But it did okay. All right. So that got rid of the spaces down here that didn't have any paper on them. And it looks pretty even, so that's good. And what I'm going to use is a corner rounder. And I'm going to use the corner rounder, just to get rid of the sharp corners. And And I'm going to ink around the edges, and then I will do the detailing. I'll do the detailing off camera with pens, and then since I live with the person, that I'm giving the card to, I'll be able to show it to you on Monday. You'll send him a smack. Okay, Dorothy, that's a good plan. So this is cobalt blue archival ink. It is my ink of choice and color of choice. And I'm just going to ink around the edges. It just helps to frame things if you ink around the edges. For some reason, this one does not look like it cut right. Well, let's try this again. That's better. It had a little hoop-de-doo on it. I don't know what it was, but it didn't look right. My sponge is about shot, so you can see all the little sponge poop down here. That's how you know you need a new sponge. When it starts giving off too much sponge poop. So since this is acrylic ink that I've used, I'm going to use acrylic paint pens, Posca paint pens. That's what I'm going to use over the top of the ink to detail it and add, because this needs to be turned into more of a party hat, so I will do some stuff to that. And then I will probably decorate the cake a little bit, because after all, when you get to be only 14 in your head, but you get to be a lot older than 14 in reality, you know what? You should celebrate, and you should celebrate with color and pattern and all kinds of good things, right? Let me get rid of the sponge poop here, because those are little bits of sponge that have ink in them, and if you don't get rid of that, you're gonna mess up everything. So I have a little piece of the paper here that's trying to come up, so we're gonna glue it back down. And that happens sometimes when you're piecing small bits of things together. Tends to happen on the corners of things, which is one of the reasons I get rid of the sharp corners. But if you end up needing to patch something, that's okay. Just go back and patch it with a little glue stick, and all is right with the world. Alright, and while I'm here, I'm going to add a little bit of ink around the edges on the inside also, just because it just helps to have the whiteness be a little framed in. And I have yet to figure out what kind of message I'm going to put inside. Could be a message I handwrite. It could be something I find online. Elton is famous for terribly inappropriate birthday cards. I probably will not do that to him, but he would do it to me in a heartbeat. His goal is to enjoy to the fullest every single second of every single day, and he does an awfully good job of that. Okay, so this doesn't have to be, I am not a manufacturer, I am not a robot, and so this does not have to have perfection. Okay? Alright, more sponge poop to get rid of. See all that stuff that came off that sponge? That's why you got to have one of these. That's why you have to have one of these. And we're going to throw that one away. Lint rollers on your table if you work with inks. Okay, so here is the birthday card at this point, and there's the birthday cake at this point, and there is the party hat at this point. And so what I will now use is my Posca paint pens. I have golds and silvers and these lovely colors, and they're all great colors. You can't go wrong. And I have metallics. This is a metallic turquoise, and so you just use, I'm going to use those, and I'm going to detail this, but try to also make it stand up from the background, not make it blend into the background, because the background's its own thing. Alright, so there is that. I will show you. I need to let it dry a little bit more before I start adding paint pens on top of that and wrecking my paint pens. And so I'm going to let it do its thing here. He has an amazing sense of humor. His sense of humor is so wacky that sometimes sometimes he has to apologize because sometimes, especially his granddaughter, who is 15 and a half, doesn't, sometimes humor from grandfathers is not always well appreciated because it's interpreted as, eye-rolling, oh, Papa, that kind of thing. Anyway, okay, with that being said, I am going to take off. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and making a birthday card and celebrating Elton with me for his birthday. And I'm at the end of what I can do today. Yes, the body has spoken. It's time to go relax. Okay, that's all right. I'm done. So if there's static on the audio, I am done. So I will see you guys later. Okay? Thanks for being here. Until Monday. Bye for now.